All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to get an Errol Spence Jr. fight soon. As I am predicting, I have been told by somebody I trust, take it with a grain of salt though, that the Fundura Thurman winner may very well fight Errol Spence Jr. in his return. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 154-pound division where there is a fight card taking place in a few weeks. Let me tell you, I am nervous as I can get for one of my favorite fighters. Kieth one-time Thurman will be fighting Sebastian Fundura. Sebastian Fundura is I believe he's the WBC 154-pound champion. He used to be the WBC and the WBO 154-pound champion, but he dropped the WBO. And he is fresh off of an annihilation of the guy Kieth Thurman was supposed to be fighting, Tim Tszyu. It was a complete and utter destruction of Tim Tszyu. Don't know what Tim Tszyu is going to be doing, if he's going to come back. I know that he's hired a new team, but man, let me tell you, that was just such a severe whooping. I don't see him. I don't know what's going to happen. So now, instead of Tim Tszyu fighting Kieth Thurman, it is Sebastian Fundura fighting Kieth Thurman. And I'm very afraid that the same thing is going to happen to Kieth Thurman. Sebastian Fundura at 6'5", with 80+ inch reach, is just so big, so tall. And in the last fight that with Tim Tszyu, he just looked a lot more mature. Like being a champion is settling on him, and he's not giving up his height nearly as much as he was giving up his height before, where it was just pretty much rock'em sock'em robots, and he was, and he was given as good as it was taken. In the Tim Tszyu fight, he spent the first 4 or 5 rounds behind a jab, just touching Tim Tszyu, and over time just wearing Tim Tszyu down. And then Tim Tszyu started trying to pick up the pace. Sebastian Fundura picked up the pace with him, started landing more hooks, uppercuts, and really starting to dig him. Wound up beating him so bad he was dizzy. And Tim Tszyu winds up not getting out of his stool, in the fight on the stool. I'm really afraid that that is going to be exactly what happens to Kieth Thurman, even though I know that Kieth Thurman is probably I know that he is a more technically skilled fighter than Tim Tszyu is. He's definitely got better foot, has better feet, has good movement, foot movement. He has very good head movement. And, and Kieth Thurman he's only lost one time in his career to Manny Pacquiao, and that was coming off an injury. And I think that Manny Pacquiao, there was an argument that Kieth Thurman actually won that fight. So in a lot of ways, Kieth Thurman is probably sitting there in his mind still believing that he is thinking and acting as if he is still an undefeated champion. So he's going to come, or undefeated fighter. So he's going to come in there with the will to win, with a game plan. To me, it just seems so tough and such a big hill for him to overcome in that fight. Now, on that fight card also is a real fight that I'm really looking forward to, is the Steve Fulton Jr. versus O'Shaquie Foster. Two fighters that that have good name recognition, not the biggest name fighters in the world. Steve Fulton Jr. is a former champion at 122 pounds. O'Shaquie Foster's been reigning at 130 with that WBC for it seems like a couple of years now, that he got that, man. I know that he was ripped off against Robinson Conceição, and he came back and got a win against Robinson Conceição in a controversial fight. But man, those are the ones that I'm really looking forward to on that fight card. Now, after after Sebastian Fundura and Kieth Thurman fight, a guy that I am definitely looking forward to coming back into the PBC fold is Errol Spence Jr. I was told, and I knew before, that Errol was going to be fighting Sebastian Fundura, or was plotting to fight Sebastian Fundura, when Sebastian Fundura had both the WBO and the WBC. However, that plans did not go that way. Errol Spence Jr. wound up taking a lot more time off, but my understanding is that Sebastian Fundura, Keith Thurman winner could be on the plate for Errol Spence Jr. Now, obviously, one hang up for that fight, if it's Keith Thurman, is that Errol Spence Jr. said that he would never fight Keith Thurman. Well, I am begging Errol Spence Jr. to reconsider it, because if Keith Thurman gets his hands on that belt and beats Sebastian Fundura, that is a perfect comeback fight, a perfect fight for Errol Spence Jr., a terrific fight, an absolutely terrific fight for fight fans, and something I think that he should do, man. One of the things that always kind of got me or bugged me a little bit about Errol Spence, and I think it's a tremendous strength of Errol's, is that Errol's very firm-minded, very stubborn. And when he makes up his mind, apparently when he makes up his mind to do something, and that is what he's going to do. And it's not going to be very, very easy to change his mind to get him off of that. Keith Thurman, years ago, and I'm saying years ago with an emphasis on years ago, over 5 years ago, ducked Errol Spence Jr. when Errol Spence Jr. wanted to challenge for his WBA and WBC belts, right after the fight that Errol Spence Jr. had with Kell Brook. At that point in time, for certain, Keith Thurman was ducking Errol Spence Jr., and he did Errol Spence Jr. wrong. But at this point in time, many years later, can we please let the bygones be bygones? Because that entire generation of fighters are on the way out. You have Sean Porter, who's already retired, Danny Garcia, who I do believe has his last fight coming up in the Barclays Center. And you have obviously Arislandi Lara is over 40 years old. Austin Trout is around that age. Austin Trout is out. You just got a lot of guys around those weight classes that are just not there anymore and will not be there because the young group of fighters are coming up, right? So Errol, I do believe if he's going to have a couple more fights in his career, needs to be in there with guys that are around the same age, same condition in the sport that he's in, not trying to go out there and trying to knock the block off somebody like Jaron Ennis or somebody like that that's 27, 28 years old, hasn't had the wear and tear. But who knows, man? Errol may feel like he can really go for the gusto against a guy like that. I personally say, man, get the money with Keith Thurman. You know it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. The way that they're going to sell a fight is going to be interesting. It's a match that is going to be a good fight because, you know, you really don't know who's going to win that fight. At a point in time, I had Errol Spence Jr. for sure getting him. But as Errol's career progressed and he had the car accidents and all of that, I'm not so sure. But whatever the case is, man, I just want to see it, and hopefully they will do it. But in order for that to happen, first and foremost, Keith Thurman got to get past Sebastian Fundura, which is not a pun completely intended, which is a very, 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 very tall order. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. Hopefully the fights will all be good and we'll get this Errol Thurman fight like I've been praying for years afterwards. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.